What is up, beautiful people? We are here today with my friend Jordan. He is a beast at wholesaling and so many other things. I'm so glad to have him on. I've been meaning to have him on just because, I've been needing to, right? And yeah, I'm excited to hear your story, get to know certain parts about you that I didn't know before, and happy to have you here, my man.
Yeah, bro. Thanks. It's definitely a pleasure to be on a superstar's platform, as I mentioned the other day.
That's so funny.
I'm
It's
so
like I'm not a
grateful.
superstar. I'm just the
Yeah.
same. I'm the same as everyone else.
Yes, sir.
So just real quick, give everyone who doesn't know you like a real estate resume. Make it go long because I'm gonna post a little thing to Instagram and yeah.
Okay.
So give everybody the real estate resume.
Yeah. So I guess my real estate resume, I jumped into real estate in 2019. My biggest thing I wanted to accomplish was to become a landlord. So I really was looking to own rentals and just have that financial freedom that you see on social media. And so I thought that was the only way is just own rentals. And I didn't know how to actually buy something at the time. So I started doing a little bit more research. And of course, as everybody that comes across the real estate side, you see just become a real estate agent. So I'm starting to look into the real estate agent side of things. And one of my friends actually, surprisingly, he gave me a video. It was a video on the Breakfast Club, and they were explaining real estate wholesaling. And so, like, I hear the real estate and then I hear wholesaling that you don't need a license and you don't need any of the credentials and things. So I start to dig deep into that. And truth be told, I dug a little bit too deep before I started to take action. I was a full time student, a full time worker. So at that time, I kind of treated it as a hobby, but I still kind of took those small steps to learn. As I'm learning, I'm starting to take some small action. And so fast forward maybe I want to say 3 to 4 months into, of course, me digesting as much as I can. I'm like, okay, I think I get the concept of this. And I go all in. So I end up hiring like 3 VAs because I'm like, I'm not cold calling. Like all the videos I hear, they're like, don't cold call, just hire VAs. So I'm like, why not? And my
That's
mindset,
incredibly funny. Wait, you all the videos you hear is like absolutely don't cold call, just hire a VA first. That's
some of
funny.
them were like, just, hey, just get a VA. And then, of course, there's those people who are like, no, grind it out. You got to learn how to cold call. You got to learn these things. And so I hired 3 VAs out the jump. And as you know, I mean, I had some money stacked up in my savings, but I also had some income from my job. So maybe 2, 3 months in, I'm like, damn, this is starting to get expensive. Like, I'm spending all this money on my cold callers and not the best of leads are coming in. But my biggest struggle was my mindset. I wasn't ready for that. I had some leads coming in, but I was scared myself. And this kind of feeds into what we were speaking about earlier, that fear. I was kind of scared to even talk with these homeowners. So I was just letting leads go by. And oftentimes I'm like, oh, nothing's working. But truth be told, I wasn't putting in the effort that I should have. So ended up going down that path. I seen the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm like, okay, I definitely think I can make this work, but I just got to actually step it up and make it happen. So I started to get over my fears, make some calls. I started doing some cold calling myself. I ended up firing 2 of my VAs, at least kept one. And I was making some calls and getting some good traction. I was having some conversations. Now, of course, I was a straight rookie. I didn't know what I was talking about. So sometimes when someone would ask me a question, I'm lying through my teeth and I just didn't know. So I was false promising a lot of things. And then a lot of my friends started to see what I was doing. And so they started to
Wait, when
reach
you
out to
say
me like,
lying through your teeth, what were you saying to these people?
I
Like,
was, I
what
didn't know
type
that.
of shit were you saying?
I just didn't know the numbers. So they're saying, oh,
Oh,
like you
gotcha.
can
You're like,
pay
"Oh, yeah, I
pay
can."
this. Yep. So I'm like, oh yeah, we could pay that easily. No worries. Oh, can you close in 15 days? Of course. Why not? And so
Gotcha.
like these things that I see people, oh, you can close quickly, etc. So I'm just telling them, yeah, we can do all of this. Just to kind of hopefully get someone like, okay, well, let's move forward. Um, and then as I mentioned, my friends started to see what I was doing. So they were interested in kind of trying to get in with me. So I was like, hey, let me try to build a business from this. So I brought on 3 or 4 of my friends. 2 of them was my girls' friends, and then I think 2 of them were my friends. And I put together a whole crash course on what real estate wholesaling is. I had a presentation, and I thought I was going through the movements, and I was trying to educate them a little bit on kind of what the process looked like. And so when it came time to making calls, nobody was making calls. I was skip tracing these lists. I had all this data, but nobody was making calls. And so, of course, I let it bleed a little bit too long, as a lot of entrepreneurs do, because I wanted it to work, of course, but I also wanted to bring my
Talk
friends along
real
with me.
quick about the issues with working with friends. Like I think it can work, but the way that it has to work is like you hire them. Or like it's very rare that a friend can also be a business partner, like a friend from
Yeah.
previous life, right? I find it very rare to make that work. I mean, it's possible. It's just rarer.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you did wrong there? You didn't. Did you just not bet at all? You just
I
didn't
think it was
see whether they were interested or not, or like what happened?
I definitely think it was more of the fact that I obviously didn't vet too much. I mean, they just having conversations with them, I'm like, oh, they can call numbers, like they can talk to people. That shouldn't be an issue. But I think the biggest issue with hiring friends, especially if you don't know what the hell you're doing, is like you guys are just trying to learn this together. And oftentimes if people aren't as passionate as you are with the industry that you're trying to like go into, they're not going to take the leaps that it takes in order to do so. So I think it was just more of that aspect of me hoping that they had the same mindset, the same drive as me going into this, but that just wasn't the case. But of course, it's always hard to hire friends, especially if that is the case, is because now not necessarily ruining friendships, because of course everybody we're still friends, but like I had to fire them. I'm like, hey, like I told them like, hey, like calls aren't being made. Unfortunately, I have to let you go. And like a few, like maybe a week or so, like people were kind of a little bitter with me. But they got over it. I mean, they couldn't, they understood, but also I wasn't getting the traction that I was telling them that we can get. So it's
Right.
just that aspect of like, I guess the proof of concept that they needed.
Makes sense. Okay, so keep going. So we start there. We try to do that. That doesn't work. Does Jordan ever actually get on the phones, or absolutely not? What happened?
Yeah, so Jordan was actually on the phone. So during that time, I was on the phones. As I mentioned, I was lying through my teeth on things. So I was just telling people whatever the hell they wanted to hear and hoping that I can get a deal. And fast forward, like I want to say almost a year into kind of, and as I mentioned, this I kind of treated it more as a hobby. I was maybe spending 1, 2 hours a day on it. Majority of it was kind of just watching videos and trying to learn still what other things I can implement. And fast forward a year, I never got my first deal until the first year, until that after that year happened. And thankfully enough, my family kind of seen that I was passionate about this real estate stuff. I really wanted this to work. And so my great grandmother, um, God rest her soul, she passed away, and my family was, of course, needing to sell the house. So I was like, "Hey, if you guys give me the opportunity, like I can find a buyer for us, and hopefully I can structure it to where I can make some money as well on it, just to get my first wholesale." And so it worked out. I actually wholesaled it to a New Western guy. He brought a buyer. I think they made 12,000. I made 10,000, and that was the proof of concept that I needed, that I was like, "Okay, this actually works." Now, of course, it's not always gonna come from family, so I gotta put in the work to make it happen, but now I know this actually works. Um, so from there, I mean, I think it took me another 2 to 3 months to get my first deal, but it was kinda just a follow-up. A lady reached back out to me that I was just touching base with every once in a while. She reached out and she's like, "Hey, Jordan, I'm actually ready to sell now." So I drove over to her house. It was actually out in Park Hill, a really good area in Denver, and sat down, and that's when I kinda started to learn a little bit of creative financing. Like, of course, I seen Pace on Steve Chang's podcast, so I'm like, "Oh, Imma start pitching this now, like, even though I don't know what I'm talking about, like, we're gonna make it happen." So, went over there and I wrote down some options for the seller, and long story short, she wanted to go the subject to route, but I was kinda scared to do it. I'm like, I don't want you to go that way. I think you should go cash." And so we ended up kinda going the cash route, and that was another deal. I sold it back to that New Western guy and, closed another $10,000 deal. And then from there was kind of the rest was history, bro. I just then I kinda stepped it up a little bit. I started spending a little bit more time on my business and really taking it more serious. Still going to school full time.
How long is this all happening? Like how long ago was this?
Yeah, so this was like 2019 when I
Because
first
this is a while
discovered it.
ago.
Yeah, it was about 5, 6 years ago. So,
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
2019 when I first discovered that. I was what, 27 now, so like 21, 20, about, yeah, I turned, yeah, about 22 time. And yeah, during that time, bro, it was just kind of really learning the journey and learning what it takes to really succeed in this industry.
I love it.
So,
So what is that? What does it? You've been in it 5 years. You've been in it longer than me. What
yeah,
do you feel like it is the thing that most people are missing on what it takes to succeed in this industry?
truth be told, it's just discipline, consistent
Hmm.
discipline every single day. If you're going to treat this as a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby.
So
So I
like
would
talk
say that's
about
the one
that.
thing.
Like what do you mean? What does that even mean? Consistent discipline. I know what it means, but what does that mean? What does that look like in a wholesaling business, in real estate?
I think just with anything in life, just having that consistent discipline is doing the hard things every single day, even if you don't want to do it. And so that kind of goes back to me making those calls. Like, even though I didn't want to do it, if I'm spending 2 hours a day, I should be making those calls every single day, getting cussed out, rejected, whatever that may take, because it's going to be hard. But that's what's gonna lead to that success, and that's something I didn't do for years. Honestly, I never had that consistent discipline. So that's why, truth be told, I'm not at the place I wanna be in my business is because I haven't mastered that consistency just yet.
Hmm. So like talk what do you mean? Like what would happen? Like you just stop working for a couple of days and then you would start working again or like what do you mean?
I would say it's also working on the wrong things, but I
Mhm.
would say it's goes back to, getting shiny object syndrome. I mean, of course, that's something that I had all the time. So, of course, you're in your head, you're like, "Oh, I'm still working towards my goal," which you are. You're still learning all these new strategies, but you're not working on the right things that's gonna keep pushing you forward. So, if I just kept making calls every single day, but also implementing, learning these new strategies and trying to do different things, I would definitely be able to, I guess, get to the point that I wanted to get to at that time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you should have been working on that you weren't?
I would say just my sales skills. I think getting on the
Hmm.
phones and continuously just learning, um, having those
You
conversations.
started without a mentor, right? It sounds like you probably didn't do it. When did you actually start paying for education and actually start getting a
Oh
mentor?
man, I think that was my first mentor that I paid was $2,500, and it was 2020. I want to say 2022. Yeah, no, 2021. It was like 2021 going into 2022. So it took me about
Okay.
what, 3 years, 3, 4 years.
2 or 3 years. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
that. I think that's the difference, to be honest. I don't know if it was discipline necessarily. Maybe it was, but like I got really lucky with I got my mentor in 2020. I got both of my mentors. I got Jamil and Pace in 2020.
nice.
Right. I was like, I just know this is gonna work if I pay these people money. Right. So talk about that. Why do you feel like it took you so long to find a mentor, someone who could tell you exactly what you should be doing?
I think it was just being hard-headed and knowing, like, seeing it like, "Oh, I can learn all of this for free." Like, why go pay somebody when it's all on YouTube?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that was my mindset, and of course, it all comes back to mindset. Is just like, why pay when I have it right here in my hand?
What are the mindset issues that you feel like have screwed you or have screwed not have screwed you in the past or like things that were holding you back, right? I think
Mm,
all of us have them. I think one of mine was the fear of spending money, right? That took I was like a single man shop for longer than probably it should have been just because of that.
yeah.
But what do you think? What do you think there?
Um, I would say definitely was just the education. Like, I should have invested in mentorships and doing that out the gate. But just being cheap too, like you said, like I was trying to save money, so it's the kind of that spending money. Now I did understand, hey, like I can delegate these things because that's kind of stuff that I got into. But also, if you don't know how to manage, if you don't know how to properly delegate tasks, or if you haven't done it yourself, like how are you going to tell somebody else to do it? And so
Right.
that's my biggest thing was just, I guess, spending that money on paying somebody.
Yeah, makes sense. So, what is the first 3 years? Is it just you and a cold calling list, basically?
Yeah, so it started getting expensive again with the VA. Wasn't taking a lot of time to it, and so I had to let that VA go. And I've gone through so many VAs, whether it's just bad quality or just not showing up how they need to. But then, yeah, it was just a one-man show. At one point, I did bring one of my buddies from high school on as a business partner. He was supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
'cause I started reading Rocket Fuel, of course, and I'm like, oh,
Nice.
I could be the visionary. He can be the integrator.
But you
That
have no
lasted
idea whether
maybe.
he's an integrator or not.
Yep, I was like, "Oh, he has glasses. He looks like he does. Like he's he's the back office. Like I'm gonna let him handle all the
That's funny.
systems." And he didn't know anything about real estate. He didn't know anything about just business in general. Just everything
Right.
that I knew that needed to happen, I was still doing. And so that
Right.
lasted maybe 2, 3 months.
Well, that's good. That's not too long.
Yeah, not too long to where we both invested money. We were 50-50, so that kinda helped out a lot to where we hired some more VAs. We got some stuff going, just wasn't working out. So split ways, doing it all on my own. And then this is kind of where I would say it kick-started my journey is I was speaking to an Italian man out in Miami, and I was actually going to a Grant Cardone seminar out there. And this guy that I was talking to, he's balling. He has a nice oceanfront property out there. He also owns a lot of commercial deals out there. So he's like, I told him like, hey, I'm actually coming out to Miami for a Grant Cardone seminar. Like, I would love to at least meet you. I don't know if I can buy a condo because I mean, this is like a 1.5, $2 million home. Like, I don't know anything about that. But it was just as I started to learn how to actually build rapport, like it was just being honest with them. Hey, I actually don't
Wait, was
know.
this a seller?
Yeah, it was a seller.
What list was he on? He might not be doing so hot, man. Maybe we shouldn't listen to this guy.
Well, I think this one actually came, I couldn't tell you. I think it was like a high equity. I think this guy owned it free and clear.
Of
Um,
doing a high equity list.
but
That's it.
yeah, he had a few other properties too. So I think it was more I was calling on one of his other properties that he ended up selling because I probably took forever to even get to that seller. But then he was like, "Yeah, I have this one. I have this one. Like, which one do you want to look at?" And I just built that rapport with them. And so, long story short, I went out to Miami for the Grant Cardone seminar, and the gentleman was like, "Hey, if you can help me sell this commercial building, like, let's make it happen." And so I knew nothing about commercial. So I just go and I'm kind of just winging it as I go. I'm walking the property, building rapport with the seller, just talking with them. And so I go on the next night back to my hotel and I'm just on Google, buy my warehouse fast, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just calling all of these companies and I speak with one gentleman, which is actually like a very good friend of mine now, is he picks up and it was rare because he said he's never picks up those phone calls. So I'm speaking with him like, hey bro, like I have this property. I would love to see if you guys are the buyers for it. Long story short, they actually flew this gentleman out to Miami just to come look at it because they thought the numbers looked good. It didn't work out, unfortunately, but the kid that actually flew out to come look at it, he was a year younger than me, and he's crushing it. And so he was working with that company from doing everything from residential up to large commercial buildings. And so I'm like, damn, like he's killing it. What the hell am I doing right now? So just building a relationship with him, he actually told me, he's like, hey bro, like I would love to see if I can get you hired with us. I
Mm-hmm.
see potential in you, like you're killing it, but you sound like you need a team. And so we went out to lunch, we bonded, and long story short, his boss was like, hey, let's give it a try. You come on and help us do some stuff. And so I worked with them for about a year. And that was a blessing because it gave me the chance to kind of see the
How a
do's
business
and
runs.
don'ts. And I would say that the business that they actually had wasn't very well-oiled machine. Kind of like, I mean, of course you can compare it to other people's like paces. Like, of course, his is like he got his systematized. He got everything moving smoothly. And I'm sure there's some kinks, but this business wasn't like that. So it was just a group of guys grinding it out every single day, but they're still making it happen. And so I got the opportunity just to kind of see how everything works from residential up to large commercial buildings. I've had great conversations with sellers with that had like strip malls and warehouses. And so I'm just seeing the bigger picture like, wow, like there's so much opportunity out here. And then I started going down the rabbit hole. Oh, let me try a commercial. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me do that to where it just wasn't working. So I was working with them for about a year though. We were closing some good deals. I mean, I think my biggest assignment fee with them was about $85,000. Of course, I didn't make all that, but it was just the fact that that's something that happened. And then, yeah, I think it was just that experience.
I love it. Awesome. So What? Because that's also interesting, right? What was it in you that made you feel like it was a good idea to work with the team instead of doing it on your own? Was it just because it wasn't working? What was it like? What was it? Because I always find it interesting. I feel like it can be really good for some people and
Hmm.
really bad for others. So, like, what do you feel like makes it where it's like a good idea to work for somebody's team versus not?
Yeah, I think definitely starting out, I wish I did this when I first started out, was join a team. And the reason being is because if you can get paid while you learn, I mean, it's a no-brainer. So they were actually giving me a salary as well, while of course commission. So it's like I'm still learning this industry. I'm still learning things every single day, as I still am. But it gave me that chance to also have others around me that are going to hold me accountable. Hey, if my calls aren't being made, someone's going to call me out. But on your own, it's like, oh, I'll get to them tomorrow. So I think that was the biggest thing for me. And that's why I always recommend, if you're a newbie, you don't know anything, go try to join a success, not necessarily successful, but just try to join a team that's doing what you want to do, where you can get that repetition and you can get those practice in. And then when you close a deal, now you're gonna be like, okay, I understand how it works from start to finish. Now it's gonna be much easier on my own.
What was the thing that you feel like you got? Because you had closed deals before. So what
Yeah.
did you get out of that experience more than anything else? Just seeing how a team runs? Like what do you get out of working for someone else? Just learning everything? You knew some things, right? So like I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
I think it was I think it was more just that collaboration, just having people that I can talk to about deals and make decisions on, like, "Hey, I don't know if these numbers actually make sense." Like, in my head, I think we can make it happen, but if we have someone else, like a second set of eyes, like, it helps me truly understand, "Okay, this actually doesn't work, and this is the reason being." So there's a lot of things that, of course, the owners of the company, they've been through a lot. So when we're looking through commercial deals, I'm like, "Oh, this is a no-brainer. This makes sense." But then it doesn't have, say, the correct easement, or it doesn't have mineral rights if it's an area that you need to build on. So it's just those certain things that you see like, okay, well, I obviously didn't know that, and I probably would never have known that unless someone more educated than me would be able to do that.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So then you leave them, and why do you leave them? Do you just
Yeah.
immediately start doing wholesaling again, or what happened?
Yeah, good question. So at that point, I was with them for about a year. We were kind of coasting through because a lot of deals weren't getting closed. And kind of going back just a tad, they actually brought me on as their dispo guy. And because they had a banger deal out in California, it was almost like $150,000 spread. And I found a buyer like that. Like, I was in a whole different state. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was out in Miami still. Well, not still, but I went back out there. And I found a buyer like that, and the buyer was ready to go, serious, but the owners ended up wanting to go with someone else. So long story short,
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh, this man, like, found a buyer quickly, but let's bring him on as that." And so going back after that year, we are kind of coasting. We are closing some deals here and there. Just the systems and processes just weren't in place. And that's kind of things that I seen after doing a lot of education and just I think by that time I actually invested in Pace's mentorship to where I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, systems, processes, and I'm also learning creative financing. So I'm like, all of these deals that we're just kind of throwing to the wayside, we can transfer, like we can change that into a deal. And so I'm pitching it to sellers, and the owners of the companies, they just don't fully understand the creative side. They're like, "Don't do that. We're not pitching creative. We're not doing any creative financing, strictly
Hmm.
cash. If they're not taking 50% on the dollar, move on." And so I'm
Hmm.
like, "Okay, like, hey, I understand this is of course your business," but I got to the point to where I was kind of fed up with it. I'm like, we're just throwing good leads to the trash. And so I speak with the owners, and I'm like, hey, honestly, like, and they also had a small change of management. They brought some kids in that had a good business, and they were trying to, like, I guess, overstep in a sense. They're like, no, I'm the new sheriff in town. Like, you do what I say. And we're just like, not that I'm rebellious, but it just wasn't really working out. I'm just like, bro, I can hop on the phones and speak better than you. Like, I can have a better conversation with sellers. Like, I'm not really gonna sit here and listen to you unless you show me a track record of what you've done. But anyway, creative financing side of things really made me go out and do my own because they didn't want to do that, and I seen opportunity. So I actually went to the owners of the company, and I was in a communication with the seller. I'm like, hey guys, like, I want to buy this deal. I'm gonna buy this deal on creative financing. I'm gonna pay you guys an assignment fee, and then I'm kind of gonna go on my own." And so like, cool. If you can make it happen, cool. And so, long story short, I brought a PMP to the table. Got a really banger deal out in San Antonio that we still have till this day, and paid the company a $10,000 assignment fee, and I split ways and started my own thing. So I went right back into wholesaling, and at that time, I was still going to school, but that was my full-time job, was the real estate company with them. So once I split ways from them, I graduated college, and then I just went full-time into my real estate.
Love it. I love it
Yeah.
so much. So, so wait, sorry, when did you graduate college?
2022.
So you were doing all this while doing college.
Yep.
What was the
Yep.
reason? Were you not sure if you wanted to do this?
Reason why I was going to college, or why I
Yeah,
was.
why go to college at all if like you know you can make a fuck ton of money here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say my grandmother and mother kind of pushed me to go the traditional route. I mean, of course,
Hmm.
that's kind of how my family grew up, and that's just all they know. Nobody in my family, and I don't know where I get this from, my entrepreneurial like vision, but I went to college, didn't do so hot the first semester, kind of started to pick things up because, of course, I'm partying and getting my head in the wrong places. Um, to where I kind of started making a few changes, but it was just like I'm already in too deep. I met my girlfriend at the time to where we've moved back to Colorado. We study abroad in Peru. Like we're going through life together in in college. And so I'm like, I'm already too deep. Like I'm not gonna get out of this. So I was actually going to school for, and this is also what took me so long to get out. I was going to school originally for mechanical engineering, did that for about a year, and I'm like, "Okay, I don't know, because I actually let my grandmother pick my degree. She's like, "Oh, well, your great-great-grandfather was an engineer, like, I think you'd be good at this." And I love math, like, I've always been, like, articulate and be able to see things, like, I can do a lot of things like that. So I'm like, "Okay, why not?" Go through the for about a year, and then I'm like, "Nah, I need to switch it up." So I go to kinesiology for about a month, and then I'm like, "Nope, I'm going back to engineering." And then I come back to Denver, go to school out here, change my major to civil engineering. Then I study abroad in Peru, and I'm like, "Well, maybe I should be an architect." So I change it to architecture. Then I come back and I go back to civil engineering. I'm like, "Okay, I need to get out of school." At this point, I'm getting burnt out. I'm not really focused because I'm trying to also do my business. So I ended up going the computer science route and graduated with a BA in computer science. And yeah, now that's kind of why I went to college and graduated.
I
You're
love that.
muted.
That's very funny. Like I think it's interesting, but it's like you're just like, yeah, that probably was a waste of time. Like I kind of knew that was like gonna be a waste, but fuck it,
Yeah.
whatever. It's a good time anyways.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, so what are your goals now? What do you want to be doing? What do you want to be achieving? Where do you want to be going now?
Yeah. I really I want to get a consistent flow within my real estate wholesaling company. I want to build it to a level to where I'm hitting 5 to 10 deals a month consistently and have a team behind that helping me do that. So I'm not going to give up until I do so. But I also want to transition to a buyer. I mean, I see a lot of opportunities out there buying properties and doing a few different things. So my end goal is, of course, have a successful wholesaling company to where it's just going to be kind of printing money. But I want to do a lot of things in life, man. I mean, not just real estate. There's a lot of opportunities out there. As if you have the time and the money to do so, like it's going to be easy to kind of achieve those goals that I want to achieve.
Like what? What else?
I mean, I know it's crazy. I have some big crazy goals, but like I want to own like a stadium at some point. Like like
Hmm.
Ballerino
A
down here. Like I want to
stadium, huh?
own stuff like that. Like I want to have
Wait, why a stadium? Why not own the team?
well, that too, own the stadium and the team. Like but I know it all comes
I
back
thought the
down and
stadium was owned by the team. I don't know how sports works, but that was very funny how it's like own the stadium. But I
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, no, I mean you can own the stadium and not even own the team. So,
What attracts you to the stadium? I'm just so curious. That's an interesting one.
I don't know. I think when I go to games, like in my mind just works so differently sometimes. Like I sit down and I'm like, look at all these seats. Like if everybody's paying $20, like this is a banger. And then you go to these games and the freaking hot dogs $20, and I'm like, bro, like you can charge whatever you want to here. And of course, like I want to, and also the thing with me too is like I want to kind of change things up, not necessarily like change, reinvent the wheel, but like why are people paying so much for a hot dog? Like why not make it affordable? Make it a place that people want to come to and have dinner, have food. So doing things like that to just kind of attracts me to give me the opportunity to not necessarily help the well, I guess it is helping the community, but also, like, giving me the opportunity to be like, "Oh, I wanna go watch the game today. I'm courtside," like, with, like, no hesitation, I guess.
I love it. Makes sense.
Yeah,
That would be fun. It'd be a good time.
yeah.
Um, okay. So how about real estate wise? What are the real estate goals? So it's like doing 5 to 7 deals. Like what type of deals are these? Cash wholesales, sub twos? What are we doing?
Yeah, so I mean, as you and I both know, I mean, wholesaling sub twos and things can get you in a lot of trouble if you don't wholesale
Mm-hmm.
to the right person. So I truly do want to kind of have more cash transactions now. I think it just comes down to how things are acquired, how you structure the deal to begin with, and just having it to where you can sell it off with any strategy. So it's not necessarily just one size fits all, because as you know, I mean, not everybody's the same. So I just wanna have a consistent flow of deals closing as an assignment, but I do wanna start building up a portfolio. I wanna get in the commercial space at some point, but I wanna start buying some properties and getting some cash flow coming in.
Have you just not found a creative deal you like?
Um, I think I'm just all over the place right now, bro, to be honest. I
I get
mean,
it.
I still don't have my shit together. I need systems and processes to help me have a smoother flow of things in a sense.
You need like an operations manager and
Yeah.
do you even have a training yet?
No, I started building it on my
Classic.
own. But
You got to
yeah,
stop building it though. Like you can't build it. You need someone to build it. You need to do
yeah,
one trainual on how to make trainuals, and then you got to hire a VA whose whole job is to make trainuals.
yep, yeah,
That
no,
should
I
be your
definitely
next
know.
hire by far. Someone who's actually an integrator and actually good at that shit.
Yeah,
That'd be a
yeah,
good thing. I think that'll make the difference, right? Getting to 5 to 7 deals isn't impossible. It's like very doable. It's
mhm,
also just like, yeah, it's yeah, it just depends. Also, Colorado's kind of a hard market. Like I'm like doing less in Colorado to be honest. I'm
yeah,
doing way more in California because California you can do 2 to 3 deals, but that equals like 10 to 15 Colorado deals just with 2 to 3 deals in California, right?
yep,
So yeah, like I've been in Colorado, I've been focusing on it for the past 6 months. I'm like, man, you guys are buying shit at like such a low price. Like, why are we buying so goddamn low? Right? I don't know. Like, I don't like it as much, but I don't know. I get
yeah.
it. What do you think is preventing you from getting where you want to be right now? Systems,
Uh,
probably.
yeah, I would say definitely systems. But also I need to
But
get
like,
out of my own head.
what specifically in systems?
I would just say just having like a solid flow of things. Like, of course, follow up, that's huge. I need to be able to have a solid follow-up system, but also need to realize like, and like I started to delegate way too quickly when I started to build my next company to where I scaled up to like 15 people and I was
Hmm.
working on the business instead of in the business and things weren't getting done. And so I see what needs to happen. I know what needs to happen. I just need to get the right people in the right seats in order to help me achieve that. Um, so I think it's just really getting those right hires, but also I need to be disciplined. I need to be consistent every single day because I know that's my issue. Working for yourself, you have the luxury to be like, oh, I'm just going to sit on the couch today.
Oh,
I'm just going to
oh, is that
go
what you
grab
do?
some lunch.
You sit on the couch. That's the issue.
See, sometimes I'm
You need
not
to
gonna
come to the
lie.
WeWork, bro. What are you doing? Just
Dang,
come to the
all
WeWork
the
every
times
day.
I every time I text you, you don't ever
Yeah, I
respond.
told you my schedule. I go Monday. I go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll go more often. I'll go Monday, Friday, just because I do more work in the WeWork too. You can get just
Yeah,
a free
yeah,
WeWork pass basically because I have an office in there. Just
yeah.
come through. It'd be
I
fun.
think I think this change that I'm going through right now, kind of with the breakup and all of that, is going to definitely help me catapult to where I want to be. So I'm just really, bro,
I love it.
locked in
Hell
on
yeah.
my goals and dreams. So I'm excited to be
Good.
in my mom's basement, surprising or not, because now I can really just
It makes you
sit
feel.
here.
It makes when you're there. You're like, okay, I'm at the bottom. Let's fucking go.
Yep,
There's nowhere else to go at this point. We're going
yep,
up. or where I'm at right now, which is always
Yep,
a good feeling. It feels worse to be going negative,
100%, bro.
Yeah, I
That
get
was my
that.
2024. I feel like I was just going backwards. So now I'm at that point.
2024, I talked to a lot of people, a lot of the big boys, and a lot of them had a bad 2024. I don't
Mm,
think many people did great in business in 2024. I don't know a single person who was like, "This is the best year I've ever had."
jeez,
Right?
okay.
Very few people. There's one person I might know, like John and Elena probably had the best 2024, right? They're the only ones who, like, I think have done that. I think everyone else was struggling. Like, I think, like, 2022, 2023, and 2021 were a lot better for me than 2024. 2024 was okay. It did all right, but like, we could be doing so much more, right? Like,
Yeah,
I broke up with a business partner. I think once this election bullshit is over, I think the economy is gonna skyrocket. I don't even care who wins. I think that's just gonna happen. I
yeah,
don't know.
I
Could be
agree.
wrong, but
Guess we'll see.
okay. So what's the first step to rectify the systems? What are we doing? Is it just we need a few more deals to hire somebody, or what?
I need to go in and clean up my business. I need to just clean up the mess that I've created and kind of
What's the mess you
identify.
created?
I think it's just like a whole bunch of leads are in there, just like scattered around. There's not follow-up sequences in place. But also, I have a few people on my team now that they're just there. They're extremely loyal. I'm not paying them. I
Hmm.
mean, I have one VA that I pay, but they're extremely loyal, not taking advantage. So it's like they're just there, and I need to utilize their skill sets. So I need to get back down to the basics and figure out that business plan and make sure I put these people to do things that can help out pushing towards the goal.
You're right. Gotcha. Totally
Mm.
makes sense. Um. So what do you feel like are the greatest lessons that like you've learned over the you've been doing it a while, right? Like where do you feel like what are the biggest lessons that most people miss in your opinion when starting
Mm.
off with a business?
I think the biggest lessons that I've learned, and I think it just comes with, of course, experience and witnessing these things, but it's gonna take, some time, or I mean, at least it's gonna be stressful. Like, there's gonna be days that you're sitting here like, "Why am I doing this? Am I even meant for success?" Like, so I think it's just that aspect of things, knowing that like, "Damn, this is extremely hard, but I just gotta keep going."
Yeah, I love it. It is extremely hard, dude. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Anything can be happening, right? The economy can turn, things can be happening in life, like craziness can happen, right? I think
Mhm.
what keeps people through it is whether you keep your head straight or not. It's truly the
Yeah.
difference is like, can you deal with like shit not going right? Right. And how are you going to handle that in
Yeah.
the end? You know?
Yep.
So
I think the
I love
biggest
it.
thing
Keep going.
well, I was just gonna say, I think the biggest thing is just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like,
Hmm.
knowing that, like, I'm gonna be in uncomfortable situations. I'm gonna be in situations where I'm not making any money, but I have to be okay with that. I have to be comfortable knowing that shit's hitting the fan, but it's just gonna get better. This is all happening for a reason. So that was one big learning lesson. Like, yeah, and I went through a bad partner, not necessarily a bad breakup with a partner, but like I had a business partnership that split ways too. And I'm like, at first I'm like, fuck, like what am I doing? But then I see it as a blessing. Okay, this is now an opportunity to catapult and figure things out on my end. So it's all everything that happens, it happens for a reason. You just got to see it as a blessing.
I love it, dude. So if you could go back to this is like one of my favorite questions. It's usually one of the last ones I ask.
Yeah.
It's if you could go back to Jordan right when he's starting off, what would you know then? Or sorry, what would you say to yourself then, knowing everything that you know now?
Mm, I would say, I mean, everything that I know now, I would say, man, just do it. Stop getting stuck in different ways, just getting distracted by different opportunities. Just do it. Wake up every single morning, make those dials, get organized, and just make it happen. Because truly, I mean, it's all common sense. If you think about it, we already know what we need to do to have a successful business. We just got
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah. 100. Sometimes you don't know. Also, like
Yeah, I
sometimes
think
it's hard to tell. There are certain things.
I think the basic stuff, the
You
things
and
that
I
are gonna
should
get you
talk
kick-started.
too. There's a community that I really want to promote to a lot of people. It's Cody Barton's community. I don't know if you know
Okay.
Cody Barton's started a community. Dude,
Yeah.
it is so good for people who like need some integration help. Like Jesus
Mm,
Christ. It helped me fire an employee recently, and that was so nice. That was so much easier with his help than without it.
nice.
But we should talk about that at some other point.
Yeah, most
Um,
definitely.
okay, cool. So yeah, man. I mean, that's usually my last question. Where can people find you? Where can people do deals with you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely follow me on IG, as you can see in my name right here.
There you
Just
go.
Jordan_Correy. I'm really all over, just the same name, TikTok, Instagram. I really don't get on Twitter, but just reach out to me. I'm here to help out any way I can. Of course, I'm
Yeah, but
still
you
learning
can
things
help
every
them
single
in
day.
what states? Colorado. Is that the main one?
Really, surprisingly or not, bro, a lot of my deals aren't even in Colorado. They're in like
Where are you doing?
Texas, Florida, Georgia.
Oh, you in like
So
a ton of different markets too?
I'm in a ton of different
You
markets
need to
too.
choose one, bro.
Yeah.
Choose a market and stick to it, dude.
Yeah, that was probably my issue too. I'm like, nationwide? Oh, why not? I mean,
Why
it's only
not?
a
Yeah, why don't we
no-brainer.
just do everywhere? Mexico? Hell yeah. Let's
Yep,
wholesale
why
there.
not? So
Who
yeah,
cares?
but I would say I can at least help you structure a deal. If you have a seller that you don't know how to structure something, hey, I'll be happy to hop on a call and at least see if it makes sense to have a conversation with them.
I love it. Cool, bro. Any last words before I end this?
No, bro. I think it's an honor. I appreciate you for getting me on your platform. Of course, I respect you 100%. Keep crushing it out here. Love to get some tortas with you. And that's like, no, I'm playing.
Yeah, we
No,
will
that's
keep hanging out. Jordan, I just for my audience, Jordan and I hang out a lot. We went to a casino literally like a week ago. Both of us won $100-ish,
yeah.
and that was some good stuff. So just FYI, catch us at the craps table.
Catches other craps.
Yeah.
Bet.
Cool, bro. I appreciate you too. Fun having you on. Guys, next
Likewise.
week I'll have Amber Faruqi. She's awesome. She's a I actually don't even know exactly what she does. I just met her at like a conference and she seemed like a cool person, does a lot of I think coaching. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I appreciate y'all and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.